everyone, I am Zack Boothe. Welcome to the Driving for Dollars Mastery Show, and on today's show, I'm going to interview two of my students that just did their very first deal. This show is going to be all about how they overcame some major struggles, one of those being a mentor that did not add the value they expected. They paid this mentor $50,000, guys, $50,000. I need to increase my pricing. But they didn't get any results. They didn't get any success from it. They talked about the struggle, the pain they pushed through. I mean, they took some risks that, man, they kind of scared me just hearing about it. But they shared what they did, how they overcame it, how they got their very first deal. They shared something really cool in this episode. They shared that the deal that they got, they were $15,000 less on their offer than the other investor they were competing with. They talked about the negotiation strategy that I taught them they use, so you guys can do the same to be able to get those contracts, even if you're not the highest offer, right? And how we do that. So this episode is not only going to inspire you if you're struggling to get your first deal, but it's going to be full of action steps. It's going to help you know how to pick the right mentor, how to negotiate, and a bunch of other gold nuggets that I know you're going to get from this episode. If you guys are just starting out and you're struggling to get your first deal, what is your biggest fear? What is keeping you from doing that first deal? Comment below. I'd love to know. It helps me get more content to help you guys overcome your obstacles. Please comment below the struggles that you guys are currently having. If you've not subscribed yet, please do so. This channel is all about helping you guys get your very first deal, doing driving for dollars, and helping you guys get started in the real estate space, doing real estate wholesaling, flipping, buy and hold investing, finding those deeply discounted deals through driving for dollars. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let's dive in. Hey guys, thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is super fun. I'm excited to do this. It's always super fun when I have people from my own market. So we got Ryan, Whitney. You guys live only like 20 minutes south of me, 10 minutes south of me. So you guys are super close. And how long ago did you guys come into my office for the first time? That was the first time I met you guys came to my office.
It was March or April.
Really, only a couple months ago. I'm super excited to dive into your story, your background, kind of give a little teaser. You guys got your first deal. We definitely want to deep dive that. How did that go? How hard was that? I know it's hard, right? And like the struggles to get there. First, let's get a background on both you guys. All right, let's have Whitney go first because she's the most excited to be on the podcast.
Sure, I will go first. So most of my work background was in accounting departments in construction companies, bookkeeping, and following up on subcontracts and things like that. I had a lot of experience on that end of building, and then really just wanting to kind of work for ourselves and not have to go into an office for certain hours every day and ask for permission to go on vacation and stuff like that. So, but my background,
ask for permission. You think you're going to become an adult, and then you're like, oh, I have a boss now. It's like, I thought my parents were mean and rude and hard on me, and then you get a boss, and you're like, I don't care about you emotionally. I just want the work done,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, with that background, we looked into doing real estate investing and fix and flip and wholesales, and it just sounded like it would be a good fit.
So why did you think it'd be a good fit? Like, what about it attracted you versus, going and get like a contractor's license and building houses? Why that business model versus what you kind of knew?
I think because I felt comfortable enough with the idea of construction and the contracts and paying, because I did all the payments for everybody. But as far as holding a hammer and that kind of stuff, that's not up my alley at all. I'm more comfortable.
Like, Ryan, go swing the hammer. I'll do the book.
I'm a lot like her father. He would say it's close enough for government work. And yeah, that's kind of how my construction would look. Walls wouldn't be straight.
Are you saying government workers don't work well, Ryan? Are you saying that?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just quoting a wonderful man.
Oh, if you won't say it, I'll say it, right? Go to the DMV and there's a couple sweethearts, but there is going to be some people. Have you guys ever seen, what's that cartoon where they're all animals? It's called Zootopia. You guys So I have a 4-year-old and 7-year-old, so I know all the cartoons. I'm hip that way, right? So the Zootopia, there's a bunny and a fox, and they're like having some issues between them, and they're having to work together to vanquish the bad guy, and so they end up in the DMV to get some information, and all the workers are sloths. Right? Oh my gosh, it was pretty funny. I can't believe they got away with something like that. So that was super fun. Anyways, Ryan, what about you? Like, what is your work background and why take this path?
I have been working in the racing industry for the last 15, 16 years. I worked in NASCAR, IndyCar, and was marketing for those, and then went to work for a
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were a driver. I'm so disappointed.
No. No,
So you were doing marketing.
That would help with our funding for sure.
So you were doing marketing, you said?
Yeah, I was doing marketing, and then I went to work for a clothing company where we were outfitting all these teams. When I was hired this last time, when I went back, she offered me part ownership, and then COVID hit and she kind of changed her tune. So Whitney was going back and forth between North Carolina and Utah, spending 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. And I'm just like, no, I'm sick of being apart. I want to have ownership in something. Let's do something together. So
real estate was the thing.
Real estate ended up being the thing.
So you guys were doing a few things before you guys came to my office, right? Like, had you had some experience? Talk about like your guys' experience in real estate in that first little bit, maybe some of the struggles.
We had signed up for an education system that was quite spendy. We had been with them for about a year. And although there was a lot of really great information, really great information about wholesaling, about rehab and all that, they didn't really guide us through how to do it. Here's the information. Here's how you could do it, or you could do it other ways, but we're not going to show you exactly how to do it because there's so many different ways out there.
So you got what you could have got from a podcast.
Right.
Just a lot of information, high level view information, but not here's all the integral action steps to accomplish XYZ. There was no end goal accomplishment that you were trying to achieve with the steps to get there, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. And I know we talked about that when you guys were at the office. It's one of my big frustrations with coaching programs is, I have people that'll come to me now. It's like, hey, I want to be a coach. I want to help people. And they're like, I have this idea to talk about like a topic. And it's like, that's a podcast episode, right? You're not solving an exact problem with steps to get there. And so it's definitely a huge thing, and I think it's important to say this because I did the same thing. I paid for a coaching program, $10,000. My very first one, huge mistake. It was a binder full of information, and it talked about subject to, and it talked about, short sales, and it talked about wholesaling, and it talked about, you can do bandit signs, and you can do this, and you do that. And nothing was like, do this, do this amount of this. This is exactly how it's done. And voila, your first deal.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a huge mistake. So be careful what programs you guys join and make sure here's the action steps, here's the outcome and the predictable outcome. Right?
Yeah. And you got off easy. I mean, when we were all said and done, all in, we were probably around 50 grand.
Oh, ouch. $50,000. That's crazy.
Yeah. And their coaching was great, but if you had a specific question, it wasn't coaching you through here's A through Z. Okay, what's your question for this week? Oh, okay, let's handle that. And it's like, well, yeah, but still not helping us put a deal together.
We didn't know what questions to ask. I mean, that's where it was. It was like, I don't know what questions to even ask because we had no steps to move forward as a business. We just had education about real estate.
Yeah, and that can become a problem. And I think a lot of coaches out there also don't know what action steps to give. They haven't really discovered. And I think a lot of it too is their whole point is just to sell stuff. They just like talk about how great they are and how great real estate is and say, I have all the answers. Come join my program. But they didn't ever start coaching in the first place to get a result for someone. And their intentions are actually not, in my opinion, good. The intention should be, I know how do people get X in their life. It's like, I can teach you how to, increase your vertical by 1 foot in the next 60 days. And here's the outline to get there. It's like, that's a product. That's something of value, you know? It's like, I can't jump. And I'd be like, man, I need that because I can't jump. So it's so hard when people brag about how many hours of content they have and how much information you're going to learn. And that sounds attractive. You think that's what you need, but what you all need to become successful and especially get that first deal and start making money is the action steps to get there. When did you guys start coming to this realization? How long were you in this program? How did that all bottle up?
So we joined in May of 2021. We moved back to Utah in December. And in January, we went to one of their boot camps in San Diego. And we came back and we're like, okay, again, we have a lot of great information, but we don't know how to start. We don't know best way to go about finding the deal, putting a deal together. That's when we started looking around for something. And that's when we found you.
Well, why didn't you just give up, throw your hands in the air and say, oh, all coaches are a bunch of slur there, add a slur, whatever one you want. And just not have this negative feeling and emotion towards mentors or towards the space. Like, why'd you believe that it was legit and that there was still a chance for you guys to find success? Most people just say, I'm done.
Well, part of it was we made a huge commitment. When we left North Carolina, we sold our house, invested all of that into our business and into moving out here. I mean, we had family reasons why we came out here, but we decided that we quit both our jobs. We did not get new jobs, and we just jumped in. We jumped off the cliff, just both feet in. This is what we're going to do. So there wasn't really, I don't think either one of us thought this can't work. We just need to find out how it works.
We got to find the right person.
Yeah, there was really, it was no other option. It was like, well, this is what we're going to do. So now we have to figure out how, because we can see that it can work. We just need to find someone that is willing to help us with the steps to make it work for us.
I see so many people, like, I want to deep dive you guys more. Like, you just told me you sold your house, moved to Utah from the Carolinas, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make this work. I will find a way to make it work. Like, how dare you take so much risk, right? Like, straight up, like most people would never do that. Like, how is it that you're both okay? Because I know sometimes there's a crazy person in a relationship. Like, I'm a crazy person, but my wife's way more intelligent than me and has her feet on the ground, right? And says, no, let's not be stupid and jump off a bridge because we might land okay. So, like, how did you guys both come to the decision that that was a good idea? Because that's not a good idea, by the way. Like,
no, it's not.
It's not.
Just in case you're wondering, it's not. You know, that's a lot of risk. So how did you guys go, oh yeah, that's what we're gonna do?
Well, for me, because I'm the keep my feet on the ground, I do have a part-time job that I do bookkeeping. So there's income coming in. I didn't know that when we left. That came up after. But I'm a very faithful person. And so it was a matter of faith more than a matter of just, I felt like that was what we needed to do. So I'm just jumping off with faith that we're going to land on our feet. And I do have income coming in from, a little bit coming in from an outside source.
We do now. We didn't have it at the time.
We didn't at the time. We just jumped. But it really is a matter, for me anyway, because Ryan's done a lot of, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And I've always been like, great, I'll keep a full-time job. You do that. But this time it was just really a matter of faith for me that was the direction we were supposed to do. It helps that our youngest had left home. We didn't have little kids we had to support. We're taking care of my mother in her home, so we don't have rent. We had things that provided some stability. So
there was some thought out process.
There was some thought out process. Yeah.
Wasn't like, well, if we fail, we'll just live in a van down by the river. It's not a big deal, right?
No. There was some thought to it.
Okay.
And I've done that, so it's not scary.
Being homeless is not a big deal. It's not. You guys have given me the awesome privilege and honor of being able to coach you. Right? You went from this one program that didn't work out. You came here, sought out someone that can help you get that first deal. Out of curiosity, like, why me?
Your video on the 40-day challenge, when you signed the couple deals with the one gentleman and you came
Jerry?
back. Yeah. And came back to your car, and the way you broke down, and I could see a real caring for the people that you were working with. I mean, you've got to run a business, so it's about the money, but there's a caring for the people that you're working with, and that really it really got me.
Well, it got me, and even anytime anyone brings it up, I get emotional about it. So if y'all haven't watched the 40-day challenge, that's day 4 of the challenge. You can watch just the one day if you want. It's on my YouTube channel. Y'all could go to there's a quick link. It's dfdchallenge.com. There's a quick link to watch the whole challenge. But day 4, I met a guy, and it was the guy I prayed for. I wanted to give people that hope, that faith, that belief. You guys mentioned how you had faith and belief, and you don't give a massive amount of action and take risk without faith and belief. But if you give a massive amount of action and the right action, you'll have success, right? And if you have success, you spiral upwards and just keep having more success. So I wanted to give that faith and belief and gift to other people. So I prayed that I could meet a man that was just like the man I met that gave me faith and belief. I met a guy named Stan Nielsen here in Ogden, Utah, washing his mansion when I was a window cleaner, and he was a wealthy real estate investor. And he gave me 2 properties. He didn't want to deal with them. I made over $100,000. I prayed for that exact same thing so I could give the same gift that God gave me, that I could give that to my audience so they could have faith and belief. I met Jerry. He gave me 3 properties, 6 figures in income for me, right? And he was a wealthy real estate investor that didn't want to deal with them. And he told me all of his stories, and he was dying of cancer. The crazy thing is I called the wrong phone number. And he's like, oh yeah, I got 3. Like, it was like, I still get chills right there. It was a God moment in my life, right? Whatever you guys' beliefs are, I begged for it. I prayed for it to give back and serve other people. That's why I was so choked up. It wasn't that Jerry was necessarily dying of cancer, but it was the whole thing. This was I was planning this for 2 years, planned it for nearly a year. COVID hit. I didn't go because I was worried about this, the pandemic for my family. I didn't know I didn't know how serious. I didn't know if we were going to die. And so we put it off for a year. So it was 2 years in planning and praying and preparing for this thing. So it was an extremely emotional experience. I love that meant something to you guys. I really want to get to your guys' journey though of doing the work. What was the work that I gave you to do to get that first deal? Let's talk about that first deal and all the struggles to make it happen.
Well, first of all, we went back on our promises with you.
I didn't know this.
So joining your program, we're told that, we've got to dive head first and, we dedicate and do the steps that you put forward. We started doing that for 2 weeks. And then I started real estate school to get my real estate license. So your program kind of went to the back burner.
Uh-oh. Well, I love this. I love that you're being vulnerable. This is awesome. I'm learning the story too, guys. And you would have been in trouble with me, and I didn't know. That's probably why I don't know till now, right? You're gonna get away. It's like kids that grow up and they're like, "Hey, mom and dad, one time, you can't get mad at them because they're now successful individuals, right?"
So I put your program on the back burner and got my real estate license, and then kind of realized exactly how much it costs to become a real estate agent. It's a lot different than, you're kind of told. I've been working that. We teamed up and had one listing. And then I said, I got to go back to Zack's program because that's truly what we want to do. We want to do the wholesaling. We want to do the rehabs. I've got to go back to his program. So we went back to your program, started driving for dollars. And in just a couple weeks, we had a few leads, but then we came across Kathy, who was our first deal. We called her, and we didn't know this at first, but apparently she had been working with another wholesaler. We had texted her and got a response from her. She seemed kind of interested. So I called her, and I did what you suggested as far as not making it about the deal, building the rapport. That's ultimately what got us this deal, because I went to her house. I met with her. Her son was there. I seemed real interested in what he had going on. He was real into dinosaurs, and my daughter works at the Utah Natural History Museum. So she works around dinosaurs. So we started talking about dinosaurs and took a real interest in their family. And after going through the walkthrough, I said, okay, I'm going to go back and double check my numbers, and I'll call you back with an offer. So when I called her back with an offer, it was what we felt was a good offer and would make a lot of sense to a buyer. But the other wholesaler had come in about 15 grand more than that. She said, well, this is what, and she showed me their whole, everything that they had done for her, everything that they had presented her. She said, if you can come close, I'd rather do it with you. I feel more comfortable with you.
It's just like I said, right? People want to do business with people that they like and they trust. It's all about understanding them, their needs, what they're dealing with. And even if you come in with a lower offer, a lot of times I come back to be like, hey, we didn't really like those other people. This is the offers I got. This is what we talked about. You know, can you sweeten the pot? So I'll work with you. It's awesome, right? It's like, It's really easy to compete that way.
It made me more comfortable going through deal too, because it wasn't just about the property. It was about being able to help them. They were moving out of state, and it was just nice to be able to help them.
Helping and making money. Like that's what good business is. We help people, we change lives, whether we're teaching people how to do real estate or we're helping people with their real estate problems, right? And I do both, and it's wonderful. It's a wholesome, awesome thing to do. So what did you end up getting that property under contract for?
We got it under contract for $353,500.
$353,500. And then I know that, you know, since you're here in my own market, we actually helped you guys find a buyer on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I have my team that helped you with it. So I didn't necessarily personally help find the buyer, but we use my buyer's list and that kind of stuff. So I know that I had you guys build a buyer's list and try and find a buyer to keep 100% of the deal and not have to pay my team a little bit to find the buyer.
Right.
But what happened there? Like, what was the biggest thing that you discovered about why you weren't able to find a buyer versus my buyer's list?
I think we have a pretty good buyer's list, but after going through this whole process, I don't think that our buyer's list is vetted well enough. Probably. Maybe they're not familiar with us. I don't know. Our buyer's list is not as strong as yours.
Sure. So I actually kind of want to like give you guys some coaching and then coaching some of the listeners here around that, because there's some shifts happening in the economy right now. And so this is actually one of the areas of the business that's shifting because of the increase in interest rates and drop in house prices and that kind of stuff. So one of the things we're having more issues with than we ever have before is moving deals, is finding buyers for our deal. A couple reasons why. A lot of our flippers are having a hard time selling their rentals or their flips, and they're dropping prices, and they have more inventory than they've ever had, and they're taking the loss on some of them. So they're gonna try to just go gobble up some more and just let them sit there till they can get to them. So like someone like Matt Oviatt in our market, he has over 50 properties he's liquidating right now, and he's gonna lose a lot of money. And he's actually in your same exact city. He's down in like Centerville, but super good dude. Love that guy. You guys should connect if you haven't met Matt Oviatt. He's been on the podcast. But you know, one thing that we found is it's important to have a big buyers list right now and have a bunch of people, because there's going to be motivated buyers just like sellers, just as before. But it's more important than ever before to have that big, you know, robust, active buyers on that buyers list before you start finding sellers. The other thing that will happen too, just by consequence of doing a lot of deals, you're going to build a lot of trust in the investor space that, hey, he puts out good deals. And I'm always very careful, and I've been very careful about my processes of how I work with my end buyers, because if no one buys my deals or look at my deals, I don't make money. Mm-hmm. So in the course I teach, I'm going to share this gold nugget with the audience, that when you blast out your deals, make sure you blast them out lower than you think you'll sell it for, because you want people to see your email and be like, oh, that's a pretty good deal, even if they're not interested. But next time they see your email pop in, they'll be like, he puts out good deals, I'm going to look at it. Right? So you'll actually get a higher open rate consistently in your emails if your deals are better. And then the next part of it is that you might think, well, why would you do that? You're going to get lower offers. You're going to make less money per deal. That's not true, because our process with our buyers is, hey, make us your highest and best. Come inspect the property. I'm not really sure where I'm going to end up. That's just a suggested starting price. Make me your highest and best offer. And then we don't tell anyone our offers, because we don't want, like, one of the problems that we'll face with negotiating with sellers is if they shop and tell them our offers, we don't want to give them an offer. And then there's this dance, wasting time to try and get that contract. And so your end buyers will do the same thing to you as the seller of the contract. So say highest and best. We need offers by the end of the day, right? It's very simple. You get a ton of offers and you find out for sure where you need to be. And sometimes you might need to renegotiate because you're too high, but for the most part, people will bid up the asking price. And so that's some of the things that we've done to make sure our buyers list is awesome. So if y'all are new to this, right, and listening to this, one thing that you all always should do is you should know the wholesalers and the people putting out deals in your marketplace, because you may need to go to them, have them help you find a buyer for your deal. Most people are going to want to ask for 50% of the deal. As your friend, I would not pay more than 30%. 30% is low. That's what I charge, but definitely try and find a way to spend less than 50% of your deal to find a buyer. It's one thing thing if you go to a wholesaler with a lead and they got to negotiate it and deal with the seller as well as the end buyer. That's a whole different thing, but keep that in mind. Tell me about this process, right? We blasted out. What kind of offers, like what ended up happening with that dispo process?
Before we teamed up with you, we sent it out to our buyers list. And we ended up getting one person that came by and looked at the property, and they gave us an offer. And basically their offer was what we were trying to originally offer the seller. We tried to negotiate with them a little bit, and it just wasn't working. And we had some time on this deal. So we had it for about a week and a half before we teamed up with you. Then once we teamed up with you, we had 3 different offers. They were all higher than what we had even expected to get from the property.
Isn't that cool? It's like, oh, wow, we're going to make more money than we thought. That's always a good feeling. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
And we felt like this was kind of a skinny deal for whoever was buying it. We didn't use your technique of putting it out there a little lower. We put it out there as kind of like, this is what our lowest we would take, which was still, we felt kind of skinny. Like I said, your buyers came through and ended up all offering over that.
Yep. I love it. Well, they know it's highest and best, and they got to pay their top dollar to get the deals. And sometimes they get them, sometimes they don't. Right. Yeah. So it's cool because they don't jerk me around. It's like, oh, I'll lock it up today. What you're asking. Right. And if you have that happening, that's a good thing. That means they know that you could sell it for more, and they're trying to strong arm you. Right. So just hold out. You're going to get more. So how much did you end up making on this deal? What was the total amount of revenue on it?
Total amount of revenue was $11,500 or $12,500.
Over 10 grand, which is not too bad.
After our 30%, we still made more than we were originally hoping for. So we were only hoping to make about 6,000, which we're going to make about 8,500 on this deal.
Well, that's awesome. Because think about that, guys. Like if you're not partnering up with some of your local wholesalers to help you find buyers, if you're struggling to find a buyer, obviously do it yourself first. Right? Like if you guys could have found a buyer and made 10 grand, why would you come to me and give me 30%? But if you're struggling to find a buyer and you come to me and all of a sudden you're going to make more than you thought you ever would before, even after the split, it totally makes sense. I still to this day will partner and work with other people. Sometimes agents will come and bring me a retail buyer or bring me a buyer, and I'll pay the agent both sides for bringing that buyer because it makes sense. It's the best option that we have. And so that's a cool thing about this industry and about real estate in general is it brings a lot of people because they know the potential, and a lot of incredible, intelligent business people, and we all succeed together. My students succeed, I succeed, my title company succeeds, right? My attorney succeeds. I've been having him be busy lately, which is not fun for me. It definitely, I tell my attorney, like, man, you see the worst side of me, man. We need to get me a swear jar, brother, because this is bad, right? But anyways, this is incredible. So what's been the hardest part of all of it, right? This journey of studying, trying to figure out the mentor, doing the work, getting that first deal, finding a buyer. There's been just a ton to learn. What's been the hardest part for each of you guys?
I think for me, the hardest part has been staying with it when you go almost a year with no deal. That was frustrating because, when we started and we had this company that's you're going to have a deal in 30 days and it's all a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And even though I was skeptical and I knew better, there was still that in the back of my mind. It wasn't going to take this long. And so, as you go on day after day, and we rented an office. I mean, we set up a business, and this is a business. And so I think that was the most stressful part for me, but I'm the bookkeeper, I'm the accountant in our every relationship, in our marriage, in our business. So that was the hardest part for me. But having this first deal, it was just like, okay, if we can do it once, we can do it again. Where's the next one? Where's the next one? And we have a rehab going right now. And it all happened while we were out of the country on vacation. So I think we just need to travel more. And then
take a load off, pina coladas on the beach, and life gets better, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you? What's the hardest part?
For me, it's the 6-7 inches between my ears. I mean, it's having the confidence in myself to do some of these things, to make those cold calls, to go out there and meet with the sellers and just having the confidence that this is possible. And now having the first one done, we had so many that were just about deals. They were so difficult. This one was just so easy. Just seeing that, it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be difficult. I don't have to make it difficult. It can be easy and it is possible. And so just getting over that cloudy in my head, I can do this.
Y'all can do this. Everyone can do this. It seems so much more complicated than it is. And I think when you said this this one was so easy. Why was this one so easy? But you had mentioned earlier in this podcast that it was easy because you focused on the people, not the deal, not the money, not what you had to say to get her to sign the contract, but what did she need? What was she dealing with? What was she interested in? Why was she interested in those things? And you cared about her and her situation. So automatically she reciprocated and she wanted you guys to get the deal. You were the lowest offer and you still got the contract, right? Like that's it gets easy, right? That's how you make it easy, is when you actually care about other people. And the more I've grown to love other people and to help other people, the windows of heaven open. It's crazy how that works. I think God made it that way. He wanted us to serve and help each other and be connected with our communities, and wonderful things come from it. So I think that that's such an important thing that I wanted to really emphasize in this podcast, is when we're just chasing stuff for us and our own success, a lot of the times it evades us, right? It's hard to get and we get so frustrated. But soon as we start to settle down a little bit and focus on the more important picture, is doing the right thing, how wonderful things come to us. So it's been a fun experience to see students go through it myself. And so I hope the listeners are going to take that to heart, and when they start taking action and talking to sellers, that they remember that it's all about serving and helping others. You'll really discover that there's certain people you actually serve and help by making low offers. And you got to find those people though and say, hey, I'm not a fit for you, because that's not what you want, right? And waste your time chasing and hitting your head against the wall. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thanks for following the instructions, even though it took you a second to get back on board. And let me be a small part in your journey. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate everything that you've done and your program. I mean, it's made a big difference in our life, and now we know we need to focus more on it and stick with the processes, and more deals will come.
Yep, it works. It definitely does. Thank you guys so much. And if y'all that are listening would like to have my help, love to have my accountability, love to get teased and given a hard time for not taking action and sticking to it, I'd love to coach you. I'd love to have you guys be on my success wall and have you guys on my podcast once I've helped you get your first deal through the Driving for Dollars Mastery System. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Got a ton of gold nuggets. Make sure you share this episode with a friend or a family member that would benefit as well, and help me pay it forward and help me help other people. Also, if you guys have any interest in allowing me to be your coach, I'd love to coach you. There's going to be a link in my bio to be able to have access to booking a call and talking to us about the coaching program. It's going to either be me or one of my team members, so you guys can learn how to get my cell phone number, how to be able to have the step-by-step action steps to get your first wholesale deal doing Driving for Dollars. I'd love to help you. I'd love to be your mentor. It would be an honor and a privilege. So make sure you go book a call. Thank you guys.